let's talk about the one skill nobody puts on the job posting, but everyone expects you to have: Linux. The numbers are blunt. Over 80% of cloud workloads, nearly every internet server, all of the containers, all of the supercomputers, and every Android phone in your pocket. Even Microsoft-heavy shops lean on it through WSL2, Azure, and Kubernetes. You cannot avoid it in IT, but the good news is 30 commands will cover 80% of your daily work. And by the end of this lesson, you'll be Bash fluent and job ready. So why did Linux win? 4 reasons, and they stack. It's open source. Torvalds released the kernel in 1971 under GPL, which means no vendor lock-in and thousands of contributors, to the point that even Microsoft, who once called it a cancer, now writes checks to the Linux Foundation. It dominates everything that matters. 96% of the web, 80% of the cloud, every container. It's stable enough to run for years without a reboot, hardened by Linux and a small attack surface, and it's learnable. 30 commands, transferable across Ubuntu, RHEL, Mac, and WSL forever. The barrier is mental, not actual. Now, since most Linux servers have no graphical interface, you'll be SSHing in and living at a shell prompt, and that shell is Bash. 4 concepts unlock it. Bash itself gives you tab completion, command history, and shortcuts like Ctrl+R to search what you typed last week. Pipes chain small tools together: catalog, grep for failed, pipe to WC-L, and you've counted failed logins in one line. Redirects with greater than and double greater than capture output to files, and wildcards plus variables, the asterisk, $name, $parent command, turn one-liners into scripts. Together, these 4 primitives handle 90% of real work. Here's the cheat sheet I promised. 8 categories, 4 commands each, 32 total. Navigation, file operations, search, processes, networking, packages, permissions, and system info. Learn PWD, LS, CD, and tree to move around. Master CP, MV, RM, and touch to manipulate files. Add grep and find for searching, PS and top for processes, ping and curl for the network, apt for packages, chmod and sudo for permissions. I'm serious. Print this slide, tape it next to your monitor. Combined with bash, pipes, and redirects, these 32 commands carry you through 80% of every workday for the rest of your career. Now let's get into the part that trips up most beginners: the file system and permissions. Linux treats everything as a file. Your hard drive, your terminal, even running processes all live somewhere in that tree starting at /. Memorize those 8 top-level directories, etc. for configs, var for logs, home for your stuff. They're identical on every distro you'll ever touch. Then learn the permission trio. Chmod sets, who can read, write, or execute using numbers like 755 and 644. Chown changes ownership, and sudo grants temporary root powers. One warning, that's not a joke: sudo rm-rf/ has destroyed real production servers. Type sudo with intent every single time. With the file system under your belt, let's talk about what's actually happening on the machine. Use p as aux for a snapshot of every process, or top, better yet, top, to watch CPU and memory live. When something's stuck, kill the PID or use kill-9 if it refuses to die. Services are managed by systemctl on every modern distro. Status, start, stop, restart, enable. That one command controls Nginx, SSH, databases, everything. For installing software, know your family. apt on Debian and Ubuntu, DNF, or Yum on Red Hat and Fedora. APK on Alpine. Same concept, different command. And when something breaks, go straight to the logs, /var/log, or journal kl-ekis. 80% of Linux troubleshooting is just reading the logs carefully. Now let's put it all together with 4 real tickets you'll actually see. Server slow, SSH in, run top, checkup time, df-h, and journal ctl before you ever touch kill-9. User can't write to a shared folder. It's almost always group permissions, ls-la id, then usermod-ag, web server unreachable on port 80, walk the stack, system_ll status, ss-toncurl localhost, then check the firewall, and disk full-on/var to -sh to find the offender, vacuum old journals, rotate logs, never reboot to fix disk space. Same pattern every time. Observe, isolate, act, document. That's the workflow. Before we wrap, lock in the vocabulary. These 12 terms show up in every ticket, every doc, every Slack thread you'll read as a junior. Distro, kernel, shell, the layers. Sudo, chown, chmod, the permission trio. Pipe and systemed for chaining and services. FHS and PID for navigating the system, apt or DF depending on your family, and SSH to reach anything remote. Know these cold, and you can read any Linux conversation without flinching. Now, let's clear out the myths that keep people stuck. Linux isn't hard anymore. That reputation died around 2001. Modern Ubuntu installs in 20 minutes. Being a Windows admin doesn't excuse you either. Pure Windows careers cap around 90,000, and adding Linux adds 30 to 50. Linux is secure by default, but a weak SSH password gets you owned in hours. Distros aren't interchangeable. Pick by ecosystem. And no, you don't memorize hundreds of commands. 30 handle 80%, and man pages plus AI cover the rest. And that's Linux fundamentals, locked in. 80% of servers, 30 commands for 80% of the work, pipes that compose real power, and logs that crack most bugs. That's your foundation. Next up, Lesson 58, AI literacy for IT. LLMs, prompting, ChatGPT, Claude, Copilot at work, your 24/7 assistant that saves hours daily. One lesson left, then stage 8 is done. See you there.